Hello, my name is Elgin. I'm the Community Manager from Mozilla Hubs, and this is my third video for the IEEEVR conference online. The first one had to do with basic controls, the second one had to do with moderation inside of Hubs rooms, and this third one has to do with presenting. So I'm going to walk through some of the media that's supported, I'm going to show you how to import it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about editing your scene and give you some tips and tricks. So here I am inside of a Hubs room right now, and this Hubs room has a persistent URL. You can't see it because I've deleted it from the address bar, but just so you know, the URL of a Hubs room is always persistent. It will not change. However, the environment that you're in can change. So right now I'm in this like dome scene, but probably I'm not going to be wanting to present in this area. So I might want to choose a different scene. So if I go to the drop down, there's an option to choose a scene, and I can pick one out of this list. I particularly like the outdoor meetup scene, so that's what I'm going to go to right now. Now, you might find that when you go into the Hubs room that gets assigned to you for your presentation, that you're not actually able to change the scene yourself. That might be because you don't have the right permissions on your account. So if that's the case, then you need to reach out to one of the administrators or organizers of the conference to get the permission given to you for it, or ask someone to change the scene for you to something that you prefer. So now we're in this new scene. The URL hasn't changed. We're at the same spot. And what's really nice about this one, I find, is that it's big enough that you can have people hanging out in the back here right after a presentation without really like causing too much distraction to the people at the front. And it gives people lots of room to kind of break out into side conversations, etc. once the presentation is done. So if you want to import media, you can just really easily bring stuff into this Hubs room. You might, though, if you want to really customize the environment and make it your own, you can certainly do that. Like if you wanted to swap out this Firefox reality image or the video up at the front, or maybe just add some different sort of background to the scene. And you can do that by, once again, going to the drop down and go to Room and Scene Info. And once you're there, you'll see this link to the title of the scene. So if I click on that, it's going to open up the scene landing page. And there's an option to remix in the scene editor. And so this opens up a tool that we've created to be able to create your own Hub scenes. And so once you're in here, it's kind of like using another 3D modeling tool. If you click onto an object, you will see more details about it. So for example, here, this is a link to the YouTube video. If your presentation, if you wanted to have a YouTube video up on the screen, you could just swap that in here. I'm not going to go into any detail about how to use this particular tool in this video, but I'm hoping to get one for you soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of focus on when we're in the Hubs room, what sort of media can we import? So if we're just going to use the default scene without doing a ton of customization to it, which is totally fine, I'm going to show you what you can do to throw objects in and to position them. So let's move up here to where the screen is. And one thing that's kind of annoying when I'm setting this up is these chairs. They kind of get in the way because I can't get any closer when I'm walking. So I can turn on fly mode. So if I type /fly, suddenly I'm going to be able to fly right through these chairs. And I find that that's kind of nice when you're setting up a scene because you don't get blocked by the objects that are there. So once again, you just have to tap or type /fly into the chat box to turn it on and off. So once you are standing looking at the surface that you want to put the object on, you can import the media into the room. Now, of course, you don't have to be standing in front of the object, but I find personally, having thrown up a lot of different media onto screens, it's sort of easiest if you're actually just facing the object when you get started, rather than having to like fine tune and like rotate it to get it straight. So my trick is that I stand in front of the object and then I will either drag and drop the object into the scene, or you can use this plus sign to be able to upload something from your computer. Right now I'm just dragging and dropping a PDF file and it'll show up here. Another option, if the PDF is already embedded on the web, if you put the URL into the text chat box and then click this button here, it'll create the object inside of the room. So now we have imported this object, and it looks pretty flat towards that screen, but we're still kind of far away. So once again, I'm going to line up sort of in front of the screen, and I'm going to first make it a little bit bigger because it's obviously way too small. And so I can press the space key or the tab button to open up the secondary menus, and I can change the size by clicking on that button with the arrows that go outwards and then pulling that up and out. If you're on VR, it's actually really nice for positioning things because you can use your hands and actually grab the object and pull it with your hands, which to me feels a lot more natural. But the UI here, you know, it does the job too. So we are now lined up pretty flat, but we're still a little distance away. So what you can do is you can either click and hold on it and use your mouse wheel or your zoom on your, if you've got a touchpad, and pull it forward or backwards. Or what I find a little bit easier is I just hold on to it and I use my arrow keys to navigate forward myself. And for whatever reason, I find that a little bit easier. I position it so it still looks pretty straight and then come back. It's obviously not quite the right size, but it looks like it's doing a pretty good job of getting pretty close to that screen. So once again, I'm going to resize it till it's a little bit bigger. I'll move it over, and that seems pretty good. Maybe a little bit bigger so it definitely, you can't see the other thing behind it. That's not too bad. Now, if for some reason it wasn't quite lined up and you wanted to try to rotate the object, there are rotation controls as well. So that's this circle here. And you can use that to sort of like move it on a different axis. But I find that that can be a little bit of a drag, and that it's easier to just face the object in the first place that you want to lie it flat against. This is something that we're definitely working on, different solutions for making this a little bit easier, but for now this is what we have. So once it's flat there, if we were to leave the room right now, the object would disappear. So things are not designed to stay in the room after you leave. But if you want it to stay, then you can open up the secondary menu and use this pin option to be able to stick it there. And until someone unpins it, it's going to live in this room permanently. And that's really nice if you want to go and set up your space in advance of your presentation. And then to navigate through the slides, so this is a PDF, you can just use these buttons on the side. So forward, backwards, obviously. And there's another trick that we've recently added, or a new feature, called presentation mode for PDFs and I think images as well. But if you want to be able to see what's on an image right in front of you, if you press the spacebar or tab key to see the secondary menu, there's this circle with a magnifying glass. And if you press that, you will have an preview of it that loads in front of your view. And these are like speaker notes, sort of. So people can't see that you're holding these, but they're in your view, so you can kind of reference them as you're giving your presentation. And you can also use it to cycle through your slides as well. And you'll see that that change is also reflected on the one on the wall. So that's a really handy feature, I find, because otherwise you've got to be kind of turning back around constantly to flip through your slides, which can sort of upset the flow. So to go back to my second slide, and I'm going to exit out of this at the moment, you can import all sorts of different media into Hubs. So you can use PDF files, you can use images, videos, audio, 3D models, drawings, and interactive text. And by that I mean you can create these little like interactive text boxes where you create an object out of text from the text box at the bottom. And that can be nice if you want to have examples and then put labels or something on it, or if you want to do some sort of breakout group activity where you get people to, you know, share ideas and you want to be able to archive them for afterwards. One caveat I will add to this is that if you want to use 360 images or videos, those do need to be set up inside of the scene editor. So you can't do them from Hubs itself, so you wouldn't be able to do it from this view. You'd need to go back to the media or the tool that I showed you earlier that lets you kind of set up your environment and fine-tune things. Now, Another thing that you can do is add links to video content, PDFs, etc. I think I mentioned that already, but I just wanted to show you what it's like to add a YouTube video. So if I copy the URL here, and then I come back to my room, and I can either just hit Control V while I'm clicking inside of the space, or I can put it into the text chat at the bottom. And then it's going to open up this video and it'll start playing automatically. I'm going to press pause, and that would pause it for everyone in the space. And I can move it around and sort of play with the sizing and whatnot in the exact same way as I could with the PDF that I showed you before. In the meantime, I'm going to just delete this because we don't need all these extra objects in the room. But a few other things that I'll note is that you can share your webcam up here at the top. You can share your screen as well. So if you hover over these things, they'll give you a tooltip about what they're for. And you can also use your pen tool as a presentation aid. So if you want to draw people's attention to something, you can use your pen to create a kind of laser pointer effect. So this pink line that's coming from the front of my screen to the screen up kind of midway on the PDF, that's visible to everyone else in the space. And so it's a really great way to draw people's attention to stuff. You could also like draw on the screen. And that is a feature that is accessible in both VR and desktop mode. So that kind of wraps up my very quick introduction to the type of media and objects that you can bring into a space. If you do have any questions, I'm sure that the folks on the organizing team would be happy to answer them. And we also have a Hubs Discord where you can ask questions as well. So if you go to the Mozilla Hubs website, so not the IEEEVR website, but if you go to hubs.mozilla.com, there is this button that says Community. And when you arrive here, you can click Accept Invite, and that'll open it up. And that's a communication tool that we use for the Hubs community. And so the development team and stuff is there, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. You can reach me there as well. Once again, my name is Elgin. I'm in the IEEEVR Slacks and stuff, and I'm in the Hubs Discord. So if you do need to find me, feel free to reach out. I'm going to be having some training sessions as well over the next week if anyone wants any guidance or needs any tips or tricks or has a specific question about a media file that they might want to use. And I will be trying to upload some more information as well soon about how to actually use Spoke to fine-tune your scenes, but that content is not ready yet. So look forward to that soon. It's been really nice seeing you, and I hope that I will get to see your presentation during the conference. Bye!